What is up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm gonna hit you guys with my next Harpie deck profile. I'm pretty much just at a standstill right now with the deck, because I don't exactly know where I want to stand with the deck itself. Um, like there isn't any generic support right now. There isn't any new support right now. Um, so it's just pretty much at its own standstill. Um, and I'm just working with what I have. And honestly, nothing in the list that got changed really helped or stopped the deck. So at a point now, I'm just gonna once I finish this, I'm just really gonna start focusing on Shadal um, till at least Dual Power comes out, and then we'll see what Dual Power has to offer. Other than that, I mean, the deck itself is just pretty straightforward, and I'll explain the variations and choices when I get the chance. So, without further ado, let's actually get started. For the monster lineup, I'm running 3 copies of Harpie Perfumer, Harpie Channeler, and Harpie Harpus. I'm also running full set of Harpie Lady 1. Then I'm running 2 copies of Harpie Queen, 2 copies of Harpie Oracle, 1 copy of Harpie Dancer, and 1 copy of Harpie Lady Sisters. And then my hand trap of choice is, of course, the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. So I kept it real base with my lineup. Alright, next up are my spouse and my lineup for 3 copies of Hysteric Something, 2 Elegant Egotist, 2 Harpies Hunting Ground, 2 Alluring Mirrors Split, 1 Harpies Feather Rest, and 2 Double or Nothing. So that's it for the spells. And then for the trap cards, I'm running 3 copies of Harpie's Feather Storm, 2 copies of Hysteric Sign, and 2 copies of Torrential Tribute. Alright. And then we move on to my extra deck, which is 3 copies of Harpie Conductor, 1 copy of Great Fly, and 1 copy of um, Barrel Sword Dragon. Then for my extra deck in terms of Exceed Monsters, I'm running 1 copy of Harpie's Pat, 1 copy of Tornado, 1 copy of Chidori, 1 copy of Castell, 1 copy of Ice Beast, 1 copy of Dweller, and then the Utopia lineup. 1 copy of Utopia Double, 1 copy of Utopia, 1 copy of Ray, and 1 copy of Lightning. So that's pretty much it for the extra deck and the main itself. So just to get through the bases of it, um, so my big heavy lineup comes with my monsters. 3 Harpie Perfumer, who's able to search for spells and trap cards that specifically list Harpie Lady Sisters in its text from your deck to your hand. If you control level 5 or higher, of course, you're able to add an additional card just with a different name. And because I am running off of Harpie Lady Sisters, that's going to be one of the bigger key components to it. Her normal summon, her special summon is key to the deck, in addition to a lot of the big pushes that you'll have with her, because she does have one of the bigger searches of your deck in terms of what the monsters can do. Next to her is Harpie Channeler. Harpie Channeler, of course, is the ace setup for this deck. Discard a Harpie card, so summon a Harpie monster from your deck. If you control a dragon type monster, her level changes from 4 to 7. So if you have her on the field as a 7, you have Perfumer, you have Oracle in hand. You pretty much got a good setup for some monsters, for some link summons. There really is no downside to Chandler, except for she can't summon a copy of herself, but that would just literally be broken in. And then she is always a must-have at 3, because she is your push for a lot of your other plays, whether it's a link play or an exceed play. Next up is Harpie Harpist. She'll be able to search for a lot of your key pieces to your deck. Your perfumers, your channelers. She can help you go get Dancer if Dancer's ever needed. She can get Harpie Lady 1 if that's one of your rare options. But your big options are Perfumer or Channeler. In the sense, she is a good discard target for Chandler. She's a great discard target for a lot of the cards that you have access to for Harpies. And one of the biggest things about her is her search for those Harpie monsters. Then On top of that, her ability when she's on a summon to return cards back to the hand is not too bad itself. It does help in combination with Harpie Conductor and Harpie Dancer, if that's a way to just to get rid of cards without having to destroy them. Next up is Harpie Lady 1, and I chose to be the odd man out and go for a full set of Harpie Lady 1 just because it's such an easy monster to get on the board. 300 additional attack points. I can tend to just swap her out for Cyber Harpie, one out for Cyber Harpie Lady, just have an additional beat stick next to Harpie Queen, and then it's just an easier monster to get out with Elegant Egotist, as opposed to just running through a lot of cards just to get a monster onto the board. Because the Ego not being once a turn, you have ways to get to Ego, and then Harpie Lady 1. Multiple Harpie Lady 1s can appear on the field and then give you that damage for even some of the most beat down standard setups of a board. Next up is Harpie Queen, which I'm only running two of. I like it with Harpie Perfumer and Oracle. There really is no need to search for Hunting Ground out with just Queen because you have those options to get to Hunting Ground because of its namesake and in the names listed in its own. She is an additional beat stick if you're going for a beat down setup. She is a discard target. She has it's just a lot of float with Harpie Queen, and of course her name becoming Harpie Lady on the field in the graveyard helps as well. And most players do prefer the two of if you're going to match up with your hunting ground. Next up is Oracle, and she's here for the retrieval of Harpie Lady sister cards in the graveyard. She's an additional normal summon when you control that level 5 or higher Harpie monster, and just an all around float in a lot of cases. Then you have Harpie Dancer. Now this is a monster that a lot of people are saddened that she's locked behind the once per turn. But because of her ability and her bounce, we understand that's part of the reason why she is where she is. It's just Harpie Dancer really doesn't have much of an added effect as she used to because there was massive back row. There isn't anymore. And with a lot of the newer decks not really relying on back row or having just access to floating their back row, um, Dancer kind of just seems like the odd man out. I was even considering not running Harpie Dancer at a point and then just doubling up on Harpie Lady Sisters or doubling up or tripling up on Queen or Oracle just because, like, you'll see Dancer and then you'll be like, what am I going to do with her? And then it's just like, you don't want to dead draw because there's only one. And then at that point, there's just so many different negatives to Dancer, but the only positive really she has is that she bounces Harpies back to the hand, so that you can get them on some of a wind monster, and it at least avoids some of them from having their effects that were negated. And then, of course, the big stick herself, Harpie Lady Sisters. This is pretty much for the additional effects of Perfumer and Oracle, and then of course, just having the extra beat stick. And then I'm running the full set of Ash Blossom, mainly because this is your hand trap. But you can run Veilers, you can run Ghost Ogres, you can run Bella, you can run any variation of hand trap. I'm pretty sure people are going to probably be interested as well to run the new Ghost card when she comes out. Also because she's Lynn. So that is pretty much it for the monsters. Let's move on to, of course, the spells and traps. So just give me a moment with that. We take everything apart. All right. Now let's move on to the spells and traps. So, hysteric sign, of course, is one of the big bonuses to Harpies. A spell card that literally can be destroyed or sent for the hand. Well, it can be sent for the hand or field to the graveyard, and in that end phase, you search for your Harpie cards. With spells, traps, and monsters being accessible to this card search, this is a big key component to the archetype. Then, on top of that, you have access to Elegant Egotist, which is another ace card to this deck as well, because of the massive amount of cards that you can get off of Elegant Egotist, which may be limited, but when it comes to special summoning, you get the benefits from it. Speaking of Elegant Egotist, let's talk about that. So I am running triple Harpie Lady ones and Harpie Lady Sisters. I'm only running double Ego because I never really had the situation where I needed the third, and because I have Oracle Perfumer to search for it or to retrieve it, I never really need that opt out aside of sign. Now, the bright side of Egotist is that it's not once per turn. So you can get multiple copies of it in your hand by retrieving or searching for it and then being able to play it again. Just know that if you do use the effect of Hysteric Sign to add it from your grave or deck to your hand, That's the only effect you're getting off a sign, so do be careful of that. Outside of that, I do have the Harpie sisters as a target, and that's primarily because of their level and then the access to a lot of other cards in the deck that do rely on the level 5 or higher Harpie monsters to be playing, or, well, present on the board. Harpie's Hunting Ground, pretty much a way to clear out your back row, clear out the back row, whether it's yours or your opponent. The additional 200 attack and defense is useful in a lot of cases. Like I said, with Harpie Queen, I'm only rocking the two of in that sense because this isn't a card that you really want to see as often. You do want to know his as present as possible, and then if the background does need to be removed, you have the option to remove it. Especially now, considering Harpies are still getting more spells and traps that are allowing you to destroy multiple back row and getting effects off of it. Speaking of which, there is Alluring Mirror Split. I love this card. This card is great, except for one problem. If it did have the additional effect to say Harpy monsters are destroyed by battle and or card effect, then this card would be great for Harpies. I don't mind the battle thing, but the battle thing is you have to actually engage in battle phase and actually lose a Harpy to get a new Harpy monster, which in some cases is okay, but in some cases it's like I'm going to have to waste my battle phase to actually do something prominent to the board or to get somewhere prominent to the board. Luckily enough, it does have its additional effect of it being destroyed by your Harpy card effect or your opponent's card effect, and then just summon a Harpy monster from the graveyard. So you do have that option there. It is very flexible in a lot of those sense, in a lot of cases, and then it's also just as long as it's, I'm just glad it's not a hard once per turn for the effects, and that you're locked behind one. And I think honestly, it still makes up for itself with its search or with its flow. Now, moving on from there, I have, of course, Harpie's Feather as the draw card to the Harpie archetype. Despite the fact that it returns Harpie cards, that's not a bad thing to this, especially considering that you want a lot of your targets back, mainly your Chandlers, your Perfumers, and your Harpists, and then taking advantage of those cards as being in the deck, coming back to your hand. If you have the Harpie Lace, if you have any level 5 or higher monster, you get to draw 2 instead of 1. You are locked behind your summons being wind for the rest of the turn, but my extra deck has wind in it, so it's not too hard there. And then, of course, wind itself has a ton of extra deck monsters. It's just people don't relatively use them because wind just has to have some of the weaker assets of the game to itself, sadly. Um, and then the double or nothing. So I'm running 2 double or nothing. This is primarily because I don't want to see this card, but also at the same time, when I see it, I at least want to have the option to use the other card in case I do have the chance to get back into Utopia double, or I don't get the chance to get to Utopia double. I at least have the option to have it as accessible as possible, so that way I can at least use it when it's needed. Um, it's this weird thing with double or nothing in the Utopia thing because that's what a lot of people are relying on, and I don't want to have to rely on the gimmick. But if I have the access to it, I'll just play it as I possibly can till something new comes out, and I don't have to really run it. But I did have that issue of having not to um, into drawing into double or nothing, and then just having to struggle out. So maybe I don't know. It's just a weird thing with double or nothing. So that's also why I opted into playing the second one in case I drew into one. I can at least have the option to have one already on the. If I drew in one, I saw the other one in the deck, and then I can just pop it and then go on from there with a lot of the other cards. At least to where I can have the other Utopia, at least until I have the other double accessible, and I don't have to waste my time worrying about it. All right, so that's the spells. Then let's move on to the traps. Harpie's Feather Storm, a very loved Harpie card for the archetype. This literally is the first of the trap cards to literally be accessible to search for with Hysteric Sign. It sadly enough, right now the issue with Harpie cards is we don't have anything to really search for cards with Harpie in its name on activation, which would be nice. It would honestly be a great addition to the archetype to have someone search to have a monster or a spell to search for the cards on instinct and then having access to this as soon as possible. The only other downside to this, of course, I mean, the biggest downside to it, of course, is that there's just no Feather Storm here in the Feather Duster in the TCG. However, it is a great lockout card to deal with hand traps, monster effects in the grave, and deck, stuff like that. It is a great float for Harpies, as well as just any wind monster, because you can set this, have a Castell on the board, your opponent goes, and you flip this, and then it just shuts them down completely. Then, of course, Hysteric Party, the big ace card for the Harpies, and just our big swarm card. I've seen a lot of people run one, and I don't know why one, because this is your power card, and you want to see this as soon as possible, or as often as possible. If you get into this when you need that additional summon and additional setup, because you can play this offensively and defensively, and I don't think running one of this is going to be helpful at all. And then I'm still rocking the Torrential Tribute because I do adore this card's effect for a massive board wipe. And not only that, but with Harpie Conductor, I can use her additional ability to really not care if this card's on the field or not, but protect my Harpie monsters in the process. So that's my main deck, and now let's move on to the extra. And of course, she does start off the extra deck, Harpie Conductor. So I'm still running triple Conductor because she is still the most accessible Harpie extra deck monster. The one that allows you to control your monster, help protect your monster room, destroy by card effect. You have the option of returning cards back to the hand when your cards are returned. When Harpie card is returned back to your hand. So in combination with Dancer and Perfumer, she helps. Dancer and Harpist, she helps out there. I did want to run Divine Wind in the Mist Valley, but I just didn't want to get too gimmicky with the deck as it is, and I just wanted a straightforward combination. And at least we have an offensive and a defensive play in Conductor. Standing along Conductor in her triple set, I do have the one of Great Fly, just for additional 500 attack and defense. We all know my thing for Barrel Sword Dragon. Like, you run any rank 4 monster. It's just Barrel Sword just happens to be more accessible in Apollo, yes. The Goddess's Bow just unfortunately happens to be still one of the most expensive. So I just opted out on her. And then, the extra deck itself that follows after that, of course, my standard lineup for Harpies when it comes to their extra deck, Phantasmal Dragon, for the defensive capabilities it has, attacks your opponent directly. And then you lose your material on each of your end phases, but at this point, if Phantasmal hits the board, you're pretty much trying to go in for the damage and win. Tornado Dragon to get rid of any other spells and traps on the field. Chidori and Castell for removal. 0-5 for her stun. Dweller to deal with the graveyard. And of course, the Utopia package itself, where Utopia the double gets double or nothing. You drop yourself into Utopia, and then Utopia can do the double damage. And if that fails, you can just go into Ray to help you go into Lightning. And in that way, you have a big beat stick in the form of Utopia Lightning. But that's pretty much it for this deck profile overall. I did have a bit of fun enjoying playing it right now, and my focus right now is going to be actually going back to, of course, what is it? Shadal, because I do want to figure out how I'm going to deal with that. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I'll have some more. I'll probably have more videos up sometime later on in the week. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. It's CJ signing out.